Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, Take Everything of Yours Out of the Truck Before You Punch Out. Backstory: way back, I grew up in a family that when something broke you'd usually need to fix it yourself. No reason to spend large amounts of money. We didn't have to fix something $50 and a bit of elbow grease could in a few hours. So I learned from a young age to fix my car's problems by going to the local junkyard and picking parts off the recently crashed cars. Main story: I work as a ready mix driver, concrete mixer driver. I started out a few years back for a statewide ready mix company in CA. I had my A-class license prior, but they essentially trained me on how to do the job. I fully love my job. Well, a few years back the company decided that they wanted to cut costs by creating a new policy that the mechanics couldn't work on overtime. Anyone that is or knows a mechanic knows that's basically taking $400 to $500 out of their pockets each week. Over half the mechanics quit within the next 2 months. When something broke or failed on the trucks, Peters built 370, short hood, we had been told to write a ticket and it would be fixed as quickly as possible. After the majority of the better mechanics quit, the lazier or apprentices became the head mechanics. There were no backup trucks allowed. So if something broke you'd basically be out of work until it was fixed. My last straw was when I brought up issues to our area head mechanic about the hopper not being able to lift, and electric lock on the back chute not locking when pouring. He said he'd take a look at it and fix anything that needed fixing. The next day when I came in and talked to our batcher manager, he told me the diagnosis was the hopper wouldn't lift because it was cement heavy, it was brand new and clean, and the chute locked fine. I could literally swing it back and forth with 200 pounds of concrete on it. I complained and my manager told me if I didn't like how it was fixed I could fix it myself. So I did. Not the malicious compliance part yet. So I started replacing everything that needed fixing with my own parts picked up from the local truck graveyard, you know. The one where every freeway accident truck goes to die and be forgotten. Over the next year I replaced multiple bits and pieces and even a few major ones. Also on my own time and dime. But the majority of the parts were $20 to $100 at a time, and when I have no work until it's fixed it was like a requirement. Some were just to make it more of my truck. Now we get to it. I had been joking with a coworker about quitting for a better company. Just joking around, no seriousness in my voice. He eventually mentioned something along the lines of it to my manager. My manager told me day one, if I'm going to quit, just quit because I won't be given any more work. Next day I worked my shift and went in to ask for a day off in the following week. Op: Hey boss. Manager: I heard you're looking to quit. Op: What? I'm not looking to quit, seriously confused. Manager: So said you're looking at better offers. You're looking to quit. I see no reason to give you any more work. This company is for workers that actually want to work. Op: I'm not quitting, I swear. We were just joking around. Manager: I told you day one, if you're going to quit, quit. Pack all your stuff from the truck before you punch out, and drop the key in the front lockbox when you're finished. Seriously, I have no idea why he didn't believe me. He signs off my overtime logbook as I was already past my 8 hours before he left for the day. I was seething, I was upset. I lost my job for a stupid joke. I didn't even think about what I had intended to do until I had already removed the majority of tools and basic personal items from the truck. It was in the moment before I was about to clock out I saw that I was only at 9 hours. I was allowed a 14 to 16 hour day with the manager's approval, which I had. It's time. I first start by removing the multiple hydraulic hoses from the truck with leather gloves because it was still hot after a long day. I removed the lug nuts, air hoses, safety clips, caps, 3 in-cab switches, the seat adjuster, the real wooden dashboard, found it in a wrecked truck, $15 win. By this point I was around 11 hours. I kept going with my major items, new concert class Sirius XM radio and Bluetooth. chrome bumper in the front, bright headlamp, full headlamp, one air tank that fed the chute vibrator and water tank, and both back tail light panels on the booster tires. As a last duck I even hammered and grinded down the patches I welded onto the drum. Well, only 2 of them along the thinnest area of the drum. With that, the truck looked like it belonged in the junkyard itself. It was unusable. Since they never reimbursed me for a single part or even asked me for the receipts, they had no claim to any of the parts one added to the truck. I was also on their clock for 15.25 hours. The manager obviously wasn't happy. Left me multiple angry calls, emails, and eventually sent lawsuit papers for damages in small claims court. I brought my brother, who is a lawyer, not really his area, but he did well enough. They laid out their claims, and I laid out the receipts and list of every single item removed from the truck that I had purchased with my own coin. The judge dismissed the case and we immediately sued for damages and unpaid wages. They were holding my last 2 weeks hostage. We won. They were ordered to pay court fees and 2 extra weeks base pay on top of my paychecks. My brother only asked for his base rate of $300-ish an hour with 7 hours of work. Sometimes I wish I had the mental capacity to be a lawyer. I'm still driving, but for a much better company. One where if I mention something needs to get fixed, it's usually fixed by the end of the day. Well, except for the drum. I put my 4th patch on it today. I don't have the majority of the parts anymore, mostly sold them at a truck show swap meet. I don't have a picture of the finished truck, not that I could show it without the company colors and logo giving it away. Maybe I can find the receipts list I had. Next one is titled, "My French Stepmother Learns the Hard Way That Americans Can Cook." This happened today and my brother and I still are laughing about it, except Gabrielle, said stepmother, and Dad, who is embarrassed. Dad came into town to visit my brother, let's call him Mark, and me for a few days and brought Gabrielle with him. Gabrielle has her good traits, but she does have this one really nasty trait. She is notoriously picky, critical when it comes to food. You know, the stereotypical snooty and rude French character in movies, books, who always complains. That is not how this is done in France. She's this way when it comes to food. Going out to eat with her is embarrassing. She constantly sends back food, is insistent on food being made a certain way, and always demands certain things done a certain way. One time, she asked the waiter to bring some mustard to the table. Not 2 minutes later, she called him back because the mustard is old, bring us a new unopened bottle. More than once, I've had to apologize to the wait staff on my family's behalf and told the manager that I will vouch for them should Gabrielle leave a bad review on their site. She's made waiters and managers cry, she's that bad. Honestly, I have no idea why Dad puts up with her when she does that, even though I know he's just as embarrassed as Mark and I are. We can only chalk it up to Gabrielle having a magical hoo-ha. When they got here yesterday, for some reason, they insisted they wanted to go out to dinner. Dad recommended our favorite new diner, which is known for its breakfasts at any time of the day. We live close to a major interstate, and the saying about truckers knowing all the best diners and holes in the wall in all 50 states and then some is true. It's a greasy spoon in every sense of the word. Right out of the 1950s, every leather booth filled with truckers or locals. Waitresses who automatically know their regulars' orders by heart and don't put up with crap from anyone. A bustling kitchen, and while spotless, is just worn enough to let you know many people have been there. In other words, it has character. It may not look like a 5-star restaurant, it has some of the best breakfasts you're ever going to eat. I was hesitant to take Gabrielle there if only because I didn't want to ruin the staff's day. Mark and I have been there enough times that the wait staff, cooks know us. However, Dad wanted Gabrielle to experience a true American classic and was offering to pay. So off we, reluctantly, went. Luckily, we got there during a not really busy time, so I told Dad to find a parking spot and I would go in to get us a table. The reason I did this was so I could warn the staff about Gabrielle and apologize in advance for anything she did. Fortunately, our usual waitress, let's call her Mary, thanked me for the warning and warned the rest of the staff. We go in, get our booth, and Gabrielle tries pulling her usual stunts. I won't go into everything she did because we'll be here forever, but I'll leave a highlight reel. 1. Gabrielle sent Mary back 3 times with the coffee because, in order, it was too cold, it was too hot, and not enough cream. Finally Mary, who doesn't let anybody push her around, just slapped the coffee pot on the table along with the cream, sugar and told Gabrielle to make do because she wasn't going back to get her damn coffee. This made Mark and me chuckle and Gabrielle steam. 2. While waiting, and probably still stewing from Mary's little comeback with the coffee, Gabrielle decided to accost Stephanie, who had just started, and tell her to get some fresh biscuits. Not ask. Tell. Poor Stephanie, who is understandably anxious about her job, does as told, and then Gabrielle made a fuss about the packets of butter not being soft enough, despite Stephanie explaining that all the butter was kept cold for safety reasons. Gabrielle made a snide remark about how Stephanie couldn't wait 5 extra minutes to let the butter soften, which made Stephanie tear up and me about ready to tell Gabrielle to go duck a French chef if food was that important to her. 3. When our meals did arrive, Gabrielle was quiet during the meal, not making comments. I was unsure what was going to happen as a result. Either she really liked it, which I doubted, seeing as I've never seen her compliment anyone's cooking whenever we've gone out, or she was planning some nasty barb, which I feared. When Mary dropped off the bill, Gabrielle took it before Dad could and said she was paying. Because I was sitting next to her, Gabrielle left a big fat 0 in the tip line and left a note about, "It's cute that American chefs think they're good cooks when they've never stepped in a real kitchen before. Prove me wrong." Before closing the little book, the receipt came in and hiding it so nobody else could see what she wrote. I was upset when I read that note and was about ready to slap Gabrielle. I know the chefs, servers who work at this particular diner learned their skills on the job, and, if you ask me, they have every right to be as proud of their work as someone who went to culinary school would be. While I'm looking at going to culinary school myself to become a pastry chef, I respect people who've learned by working in kitchens, on the floor, because they have first-hand experience. I took out $100 using the ATM at the diner and gave it to the staff as a tip along with an apology for her behavior, embarrassed and angry. Fortunately, they didn't hold it against us, except Gabrielle, and told me that Mark and I were always welcome back. I also decided I was going to get back at Gabrielle. There was a benefit to this lockdown. During this time, bored out of our wits and wanting to better our skills, Mark and I have been binge-watching recipe and cooking how-to videos online along with practicing. And while I don't like bragging, I'd say we've become quite good. We know how to smoke our own bacon, cure corned beef, make creamy scrambled eggs and bake flaky croissants, and that's just a sampling. When we got home, I told Mark my plan and he was grinning ear to ear. The next day, while Gabrielle and Dad still slept, Mark and I got up early and got right to work. We prepared scrambled eggs, home-cured, smoked bacon, biscuits and a fruit salad. Dad woke up early and smelled the breakfast, waking up Gabrielle by saying that the kids were making breakfast. Dad came downstairs first and Mark asked him to set the table. Gabrielle came down as we were finishing up and she sits down, not offering to help. While Gabrielle commented about how it smells just like a restaurant she went to in France and couldn't wait to taste everything, Mark and I served Dad and our plates before putting everything back. Gabrielle looked at us, confused. I looked at her. "Oh, I thought you were going to a French cafe for breakfast," I said. "You did write on the receipt at the diner that you thought it was cute Americans think they're good cooks if they haven't set foot in a real kitchen and you wanted someone to prove you wrong." Dad looked at Gabrielle, his eyes wide as all the color drained from Gabrielle's face. "You wrote what?" "Well, hop to it," I said, sitting down. "Enjoy your French breakfast with your French chefs." Gabrielle's face reddened before she left. I don't know if she was embarrassed or angry, but we were able to have a nice breakfast without any of Gabrielle's complaining. She did come back after getting breakfast and has been nice and quiet all day. Hopefully she's learned her lesson and Dad grows a backbone. Next one is titled, "Champagne is only free for people about to get married?" Fine then, let's get married. So my cousin, 25 female, was going to get married in 2018. I was one of her bachelorettes and we booked a nice set of 3 adorned hotel rooms for the hen party. In America I think it's called a bachelorette party, based on my pop culture knowledge. When booking, the chief bridesmaid mentioned it was for a hen party and the reception said that all hen parties are offered unlimited free champagne so long as we don't stuff our suitcases full of the stuff. Seemed reasonable, so we gladly accepted, well, everyone but me because I was under 18. A month before the wedding the couple broke up. It turned out that my cousin found out she was gay and couldn't marry him. She started dating her best friend of 15 years shortly after. The day we had a booking at the hotel came closer, and then the would-be chief bridesmaid reminded us of the deal set up. We decided that it would be a pity to waste a free party and went to the hotel. At the front desk the would-be bride and her girlfriend checked in. They brought up the free champagne. The gentleman at the desk said that the wedding party's champagne would be free. Then he pointed out that she wasn't wearing an engagement ring. She said she had cancelled the wedding. The guy had an odd look on his face, but then this shit-eating grin and said that it was no problem and that we should enjoy the room. We thought we were busted, but the guy was so nice about it. We thanked him, checked in, and went to our rooms. That night we partied. The other girls were enjoying the free champagne while my 13-year-old self was drinking some Coke. The party was fun until we heard a knock on the door and I opened it. It was the gentleman from the front desk wearing that grin and holding a giant bill for the champagne. 3 bottles, €200 per bottle. He just rubbed his fingers together as if his master plan had just fallen into place. I may not have been the one about to pay, but I was seeing red, that lying weasel. I just said, "What the actual hell is this?" He told us smugly that the free drinks were for hen parties only. We actually had to hold back my cousin's girlfriend to stop her from strangling him. He told us that it was policy to only give the free drinks to people getting married the next day, and since none of you seem to fit that description, pay up. Suddenly my cousin's girlfriend matched his grin. She got down on one knee. I was thinking, okay, this is funny, but also this is serious. But then she fully proposed. We were all gobsmacked, the receptionist, the other bridesmaids, myself and my cousin, but she said yes. I don't know how I would personally feel getting engaged over a few bottles of alcohol, but to each their own. Also no, we didn't actually have a wedding the next day. They stayed engaged and booked a wedding at the hotel for 2020, but of course, that was cancelled, but they will be back there in 2021 halves. Next one is titled, to piggyback off of an earlier, take all your stuff home. We are letting you go. So, January 19th I was told when I clocked in that half of the machine operators on day shift, all of night shift and half of the maintenance staff are getting cut loose. Gather up all of my stuff so they can go through my toolbox and get it loaded. So I got everything all situated, got my 3 golf carts and the one I repaired back in the maintenance shop. The one I repaired had been sitting in the back of the shop for a long time, since I bought myself 3 carts that didn't work and needed fixing up. I went ahead and fixed the company one too. On my dime. One of the bosses asked why I took his golf cart, one I had bought, and what was I doing. Explained that I was laid off with most everyone else and taking all my stuff home. He went to jump on the company-owned one and I told him I needed to get my stuff off of it first. I put the 4 flat tires back on, and took my variable speed controller out. I offered to sell any or all back to them or purchase the company one, but they declined. Cool with me. Made my 4 trips home with my stuff. I now have 2 carts on Craigslist for sale and will be keeping the 3rd. Next one is titled, on call but required to take unpaid lunch, so we turned our phones off. Let me explain the dynamics of the job before I get into the malicious compliance. We were on call 24/7 but expected to work 80% productivity between the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Some employee turned the company in for not giving us lunch breaks as required by law. Keep in mind we all drove all over the place. Many times hundreds of miles from home. None of us wanted to take a 60-minute lunch when it was more convenient to get fast food and eat while driving to the next call and shorten our day. So thanks to our snitch we are now required to take a lunch. We started off by not taking lunches but padding our time sheets out an hour and faking we took one in the middle of the day. We got caught doing that and were told we had to stop and take 1 hour for lunch even if it meant sitting in a fast food parking lot for an hour. We quickly realized that 1 hour not paid was full of work. Phone calls, dispatches, emails. So we complained we were working for free. Finally management said working for free was our choice. So we collectively decided to turn our phones off when we stopped to eat. Our dispatchers wait 20 minutes before trying another tech. So every day for 1 hour the calls would go unanswered, bouncing from tech to tech, and you couldn't reach the tech because their phone was off. Management finally clued in and relaxed the lunch requirement, stating we should take it, but ultimately it's our choice if we want one or not, but we have to answer our phones because we are 24/7 on call. Some guys kept taking the lunch with their phones off as a big screw you, but most went back to eating and driving. Also, we didn't get on-call pay with that job if anyone was curious. Last one is titled, "It's Commuting Time?" Okay. This happened a couple of years ago, when I worked in the public sector. We had one main office and several smaller offices, each about a 30-60th minute train ride away. I rented a flat literally a 10-minute walk from the main office, so commuting was super quick and I had a really good work-life balance. Occasionally, I had meetings at the other offices. On those days, I would get the train to the other office and work there for the day. I put the time it took to travel on my timesheet, since I figured I was traveling for work and outside of my usual commute. I didn't get paid overtime or anything, but we could claim additional work time back as extra days off. Somehow, my grad supervisor, not my boss, who had no issue with the time sheeting, found out about this and called me into a meeting to explain that if I was working in another office for the day, then the time it took to get there was commuting time and not working time. However, if I just went to the meeting and worked the rest of the day in my usual office, it was work travel. I think you can see where this is going. I used to come into the main office, work for 5 minutes, and then head to the other offices for the rest of the day. Drove grad manager mad, but she couldn't say anything about it since I was following her rules. Thanks for listening.